Afternoon, everyone. Hi, Kenneth Lang here from Wayne, New Jersey. Alex Freund, I believe you're down in Princeton. So I'm really happy to have everyone here today. Alex is my mentor, one of my mentors. I know he doesn't think of himself that way, but he is. And I wanted to talk today, for the most part, Alex's main specialty is all about interviewing. So as we start talking about it, I'd love it if people can post where they're calling in from or where they're looking from. And as we have the conversation, I definitely would love to have people share some feedback and see if they agree or disagree with us, because I know, especially now, as we're still in a virtual world, there's different challenges than meeting in person. So Alex, let me ask you right off the bat, is there anything specific someone can do to improve their interviewing skills?
Yeah, the answer is very easy. Let me just turn off here my device because it's giving background noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meantime, I'm just going to do some shout outs. Deborah Kuhn from calling in from New York City, Carol McCullough from New Jersey. Cool.
Yeah, okay. So the question was, is there anything that people can do to improve their interviewing skills?
Right.
The answer is very simple. Yes, practice. Practice makes perfect.
So do you suggest practice with someone else? Do you suggest practicing in a mirror or?
Oh my God, please don't do it in the mirror. I always say to people, don't take a stool to the bathroom, look in the mirror and talk with yourself. That doesn't work. And I'll tell you why. The advantage of working with someone who is trained in this is that they give you instant feedback. Mm-hmm. And this is where the value comes in, instant feedback. You see, let me give you an example. I remember several years ago, I received a phone call from an individual. He called from Chicago and he says, "Hi, Alex. Hi, I found your name on LinkedIn. I wonder if you can help me. By the way, I have a PhD. I have 20 years experience. I had 6 interviews and not one job offer. Alex, do you know, what do you think is wrong with me?" And I told him, look, first of all, certainly I don't know you. I cannot make a diagnosis based on what you told me. But my suspicion is you just perpetuate 6 times something that someone doesn't like. Mm-hmm. The best thing working with somebody that can give you feedback is that they instantly tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. If you make a mistake, you can correct it. If nobody tells you that you have an opportunity to correct it, how would you know about that? So practice with someone that can give you feedback. That's the short answer.
So one of the questions I see Sam just put up is, are the online video questions part of the application process, and are they considered part of the interview?
I suspect yes. Again, there is something I lectured on that a few days ago. Basically, some companies get into the interviewing with the bot. And why do they do that? They do that because the avalanche of applicants is so big that they cannot deal with it anymore. So you apply, they give you a link, and all of a sudden you have a person on your screen, and that person is asking, "Hi, tell me about yourself." And then you have 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes to answer. By the way, they give you 2 or 3 minutes to prepare for it. Mm-hmm. And then you answer, and then it goes to the next. When you are done, 12 questions or whatever, at that point, you click send, and it goes to a team, and the team evaluates whether they like you or not. So if you get 5 stars, you move to the next step. If you don't, that's the last you heard from them.
Now, one of the things I hear a lot about also is that when you're on these interviews, besides having a smile, but they can determine like your facial expressions, and it's not just about answering the questions. And I know that's a whole new area, and I'd love to get some insights as into how relevant that is.
Thanks for asking. Let me share with you the following. I watched this on YouTube and I found out, and this is something that's very competent and knows what she's talking about. Mm-hmm. She said, they gather a large group of people and they ask them to watch a TEDx show. You know TEDx, it's 18, 19, 20 minutes about a certain topic. And the people were asked to evaluate it based on 3 criteria: charisma, and charisma basically is chemistry, can I work with you? Credibility, which is trust, do I trust you? And the last one is intelligence, and intelligence is skills, communication, are you a problem solver? That's what we call intelligence. So they showed this TEDx and they asked people to evaluate it. Now they went to another large group and they said, let's do it again. And they started the TEDx, and after 7 seconds, they stopped it. And they said, now you evaluate the speaker on charisma, credibility, and intelligence. Amazingly, the scores were very close to each other. What can we learn from that? That people can have an impression about you in 7 seconds.
Which brings me, I'm sorry.
Another test was that they did the very same thing. A large group of people watched this TEDx show. Another group watched the same, but the second group, they were on mute. And after they saw 18, 20 minutes, they were asked to evaluate it. And amazingly, there was a very close correlation between the 2 groups. So what can we learn from this? That body language, facial expression, all this is a big part of the decision-making process. So yes, facial expression, body language communicates a lot.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but this was something that Yoram Stone put up, which is kind of relevant. How many seconds of that video will they look at before they decide, and how do you keep them watching past a few seconds? I mean, any insights to that?
I don't, but I was thinking on my own. The saying that a recruiter is reviewing resumes the whole day, and that they spend only a few seconds before they make a decision. Should I continue with you or not? I suspect on the same videos, they are not watching, 12 questions, 45 minutes or whatever. They will watch a few seconds and they can come very quickly to understanding whether they want to talk with you or not.
I definitely agree. I think one of the challenges that I remember this happened once before, and this is maybe not an indirect interviewing question, but what if you have a video call and something happens and you lose internet or something like that? It's happened to all of us. Do you recommend in the beginning having a backup plan, saying, look, if we get disconnected, can I call you back, or that sort of thing?
I think that's a good precaution. There is nothing more unpleasant than you are going for an interview, which, by the way, is very important.
Sure.
And something is happening. And, I made a presentation probably a year ago to a very large group of people. And in the middle, I saw a scene that it wasn't what I expected. There were 2 people that were nude, totally nude, young people on my screen. And I want to tell you, that took me off my concentration just unbelievably. I mean, I had a hard time coming back and focus on my presentation.
I think the other challenge also is, even if you haven't done a Zoom thing before, or any of you, and I think that's probably a little bit older, you want to make sure that you can even connect. You want to make sure that the link works. You want to make sure it's the right password. You want to check your devices, because there's nothing worse than stressing out 5-10 minutes before.
Yep.
So I want to do some shout outs to people here that we all know. We know Ed Hahn, who's on the call. Hi, Ed. We have Michelle Norton. Seeing a lot of Jersey folks here. Grant Crawford's here. Boss is here. And of course, Marty's here. Hi.
Of course.
Of course, Marty's here.
These are all my friends.
Well, they're coming to support you. And later on,
yeah, I support them and they support me. As you know, I am on your show every week, Tuesday. It's very different to be in audience versus to be on the hot seat.
Well, it's hard in the very beginning, but then when you think about it as a conversation, what makes these shows or these events is getting questions from the audience. I mean, I love to have a conversation, but I want to plan a very, very general discussion. And I know Joey says here, plan for the worst, hope for the best. And that's very true. Part of the interview process now, in addition to that, is the whole, how many interviews do you really need to go to make a decision and things like that. You can't control as a job seeker. And I think we all get caught up in that. It can be frustrating, but you can only put your best foot forward with whatever you do, and you have no control over the rest of the process.
Yeah. I want to tell you, I feel really very bad for people that need to go for an interview, and I'll tell you why. And this is my personal experience for many years being a candidate and going for interviews. In my opinion, 8 out of 10 people in America don't know how to interview. They make a good attempt to interview. 1 person out of 10 is good, and 1 is outstanding. And I had the 3 types of people. But statistics, based on my opinion, is that 8 out of 10 people are really not good at interviewing.
That's very true.
This is not an advantage. If the person interviewing you doesn't know how to interview, doesn't know what question to ask, furthermore, they don't know how to interpret your answer, that does not help you.
I mean, I'll speak from personal experience. I talked about this yesterday. When I was in corporate, I reported to a VP, and we were interviewing someone. And 5 minutes before the interview, he gave me the resume and said, "Join the conversation." And I'm like, "Sure, but you're being thrown off guard, and you want to, you're there kind of in a deer in headlights the other way." And I wonder how many times that actually happens. But again, that's on the interview side. It's like, as people, as interviewers, we have to just look at the positives. And I think sometimes we especially people of a certain age, we probably are our own worst enemies about some things.
Ken, you asked me a little earlier about interviewing and so forth. So here is what comes to my mind right now. Again, I've been at this for 15 years. And I can tell you, the biggest problem people face is they don't understand what an interview is. There is a lot of science behind the interview. I'm sure you will agree with me if I were to say people are confused about what is a value proposition, what is my branding statement, what is my elevator pitch. All this is very, 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 very different. And what is, for example, when you go to an interview and somebody says, "So Ken, tell me about yourself." So I enumerated 4 different things here. People are confused. When do you give the tell me about yourself? Oh, when do you say your elevator pitch? When do you talk about your value proposition? When and where? So I want to spend a few seconds, for example, about branding. Look, what you are selling to the employer is your brand. The employer is selecting people, and there is a saying in my business: we select for skills, we hire for personality. The employer is bringing you in for an interview because you have the skills that they require. Great. Good for you. Let me give you bad news. They are inviting also 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other people to interview along with you. And at the end of the day, they need to make a decision based on which is the best person fitting into our culture best. And the decisions are not made so much on skills, The decisions are made on the soft skills. For example, when we talk about soft skills, everybody works under time pressure now. Do you know how to manage your time? Do you know how to prioritize project? By the way, would you fit into our culture? Are you able to adapt to what we are doing here? Are you creative? Is your mindset future oriented? I mean, I can go on and on. These are all soft skills.
Mhm.
These are the issues that you are being evaluated on. I said a little earlier, you are a brand. You are a brand. They buy a brand. Why do people pay $195 for a pair of sneakers that had the Nike logo on it? Perhaps it's even more than $195. I don't know. Why is that? They're buying a brand. So when they buy you, they buy the brand that you bring. So let's talk a little bit about the science behind the brand.
Sure.
The brand has several attributes. One of them is prominence. Prominence basically says the network knows you. That means you are prominent in your network. The second thing is exclusivity. You need to be different. They will not hire you because you are like everybody else. They will hire you because you are different than the other. So essential exclusivity talks about people come to you for advice. That's why they come to you. Credibility is another dimension. Credibility. Basically, credibility talks about, do I trust you? Trust is a very important part of the interview and a very important part of whether I want to work with you or not. Can I assure you, if you interview someone and you walk away feeling that you cannot trust that person, likely you will not hire that person. The last one is relevancy. Relevancy talks about, are you relevant to what they need? Because if you're a plumber, but they are in the chocolate manufacturing business, you may be very good at it, but you're not relevant.
Right.
So these are some attributes that are very, very important when you talk about the brand. The brand, if you want to create your own brand, you really need to be able to eloquently and succinctly answer to a few questions. The first question is, who are you?
Right.
Again, this is your brand. You need to explain to people, who are you? The next question is, what do you do? And the third question is, okay, why is that important? Why is that relevant? So when you want to create your own brand, these are the three questions you need to be able to ask succinctly and eloquently, and then you create your brand.
So Terry Seaman has a question. How can candidates take charge of the interview?
Well, I'm not sure if you, first of all, Terry, I told you my belief that what I believe in is the fact that, look, they control the interview, and 8 out of 10 are not very good at that. I don't think you can really take control of the interview. But if you know how to properly answer to their question, at the end of the day, they control the pace, they control the content, and they control the final step, which is making a decision. You cannot take over, you cannot control the interview, but you can adjust to their style.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that interview you, and from the get-go, you can tell that the person said, okay, quickly, bottom line, I don't need to hear your stories. Other people are very pleasant. You can talk with them, they reply. How many times I heard this? The interview was not in the interview. We just had a friendly conversation.
Right.
Then there are the people that while you talk, they constantly take notes. They don't even pay attention to you. That's a little annoying, but They control the interview, and that's the type of person they are. I mean, can you and I had many, many opportunities to sit in meeting and somebody's constantly taking notes. Okay, this is how they memorize things. So these are different type of people. You want to understand who is the person interviewing you, and you want to adapt to their style.
So one question that always comes up is on an interview, they always say, "Do you have any other questions?" And so many times people don't know what to say. They don't know what. But do you have any suggestions for how to answer that question or something along those lines?
I certainly do. Not only that I have suggestions, but I want to role play with you, and you will see what I'm talking about. I need to put. Okay, so Ken, please ask me, Alex, do you have any questions for me?
Alex, do you have any other questions for me?
Well, actually, I prepared 3 questions. Ken, what do you think about me right now? You don't know my questions, but what do you think about me right now?
I think you're motivated. I think you speak well. I think you have a good presence about yourself.
And the most important part, I differentiate myself from my competition. Remember, and I am a very experienced interviewer, sometimes 2 people are very, very close. Management doesn't know to decide. Do we want Mary? Do we want John? Do we want Mary? Do we want John? Your job in an interview is to go all the way there and let your competition be there. Then it's easy to make a decision to hire you. So when you said, Alex, do you have any question for me? What did I do? Yes, I prepared 3 questions. I am showing it to you. Nobody else will do that. That is something that they will remember about you. And the question, it's very important to ask the right question. And you want to ask strategic questions and not tactical questions.
What do you mean by a strategic question?
That's what I'm about to explain. Okay. Tactical question basically is how to do it. That's simple. A strategic question is a question that you have a goal in mind, and your goal is to position yourself closer to help them make a decision about hiring you. Let me give you an example. That's an example that I always give to my clients. President Biden wants to move a nuclear submarine to the Korean Peninsula. Okay, that's a strategic question. He wants to position himself in a way that when he's ready to act, he is ready. Now, how do you take 6 American vessels to the Korean Peninsula? That is tactical. But let's talk about strategic. You want to ask strategic questions. You want to position yourself so that the question, you can come up with an answer that convinces them that you are the right person. Okay, so you ask me a question. Alex, do you have any question? And I showed you. So here is my first. The beauty of this is you don't need to memorize it. You're going to read it. Ken, what are the 3 most important traits that you're looking for in a person hired for this job? Traits, personality traits. Why am I asking this question? I remember I said a little earlier, we select for skills, we hire for personality. You want to ask the person, what kind of personality are you looking for? And they will give you some answers, and then you say, thank you. Do not engage. Don't answer on the spot, and you'll see in a minute why. So you say, thank you. Here's my next question. Can you share with me what will be the most challenging part of this job? Put the monkey on their back. Ask them what they consider to be very challenging. So they can give you some sort of an answer. That's great. You say, thank you. Thanks for sharing that with me. And here is my last question. Ken, if I am hired, how can I help you personally and your team to get a gold star review next year? That The third question, you see, the question number 1 and 2 is a logical question.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 3 is an emotional question. That's very important to ask this question, and the emotional question. Why? There is a saying that sounds like this: logic makes you think, emotions make you act. Emotions make you act. When you ask an emotional question, that puts them on the road. That puts them in a situation that they want to act. So these are the 3 questions you want to ask.
So I always consider part of the interview process as a thank you or a follow-up. And I don't know if you have a recommended way to follow up. I mean, nowadays it's very informal. It's a text or an email or something. But what would you recommend in a follow-up letter? Would it be an opportunity to share more about your background, or would it just be a thanks for interviewing thing? What would you suggest?
Okay, thanks for asking, because I wanted to talk about it. You remember I told you these are the 3 questions, and I said don't engage, don't answer. Why? Because I hope the evening of the interview, you're going to compose a thank you letter. And let me tell you what the thank you letter will be. This. Dear Ken, it was such a pleasure meeting you on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. At the end, we talked about your personality traits, and you said that you want somebody who is congenial and thinking out of the box. I found that very ironic. These are the 2 things that my boss always says that I do well. Later, we talked about the challenges, and you were kind enough to share with me that the first week on the job was difficult, but after that, it was great. And lastly, when I asked, is there anything I can help you and your team to get a gold star, you told me that you work on a project, and if the project is ended 2 months before the deadline, everybody will get a significant amount of money. I can assure you that I will provide every day 120%. Thank you very much. I can't wait to hear from you. So basically, this is not only a good question, but this is already content for the thank you letter. This is how you follow up.
Great. So Lisa Rangel, who we both know really well, people hire people they like, trust, and who make their jobs easier. No one is getting hired to make the hiring manager's job harder. So own that and put people at ease. And I think that all goes to the fact that this is about a conversation. You know, it's not an interrogation. And anytime I've had an interview, I try to make it as casual as possible, knowing, of course, that, you know, the other side has the job that I want, but you want to develop that rapport.
I want to tell you, I want to echo what you just said. And I can tell you, I will never forget the interview I had at Johnson & Johnson. I felt that my back is pushed against the wall, and the interviewer was punching and punching and punching and punching me. I had 18 questions in 1 hour. One was more difficult than the other. I will never forget that. It was utterly unpleasant. Of course, they put me in a situation that I don't want it to be defensive, and I hope I wasn't. Well, bottom line, I didn't get the job. Let's face it. Everybody said you are great until this last interview with the vice president. And by the way, this vice president brought me to the company. You know, I wrote a blog many years ago, and I said, if you are looking for logic in the interview process, go somewhere else. There is no logic in the interview process.
No disagreement there. So Yoram has a question. Would a follow-up video be more effective than an email?
Well, I always say, if you have a personal conversation with someone, it's 10 times better than an email. Absolutely, unquestionably. The question is, how can you get to the decision maker via the telephone? If you can get it, good for you.
So Boss brings up a very good point. When you do panel interviews, personalize your thank you notes for each interviewer, highlighting something specific they said or asked. Don't do a cut and paste. I'm just changing the name of the person on there, and I'm just changing the title.
Yeah, you want to personalize it. You know, a personalized email connects and communicates very well. That's what you want to do. Now, I'm not saying that in a company there are 5 people that interviewed you and everybody is sending everybody else your thank you letter. I don't think they do that. Okay, but anyhow, personalizing it is the right answer. Bass had exactly the right answer.
So this Marty put this up before. Interview as if you're a consultant. You're there to help the organization solve their problems. The key to the interview is to show the interviewer that you understand the problems and you will add value to their organization through your ability to solve problems. Definitely.
Absolutely. Look, in an interview, there is a relationship. Ken, you are interviewing me, or no, I interview you. There is a relationship between you and me right now. You came to my office because I asked you to, and you have a job to do. You have to convince me that if I hire you, that you will be a benefit to my organization and my company, and you are the solution to my problem. Ken, I'm not going to hire you because you're pretty eyes. I'm going to hire you because, no, don't take it personally, Ken. I'm going to hire you because I have a problem and you are the solution. And by the way, I will pay you. So that is your job. I also have a job. My job as an interviewer is I need to come up with some reasons why I decided to hire Ken and not Marty and not Bass and not Lisa Rangel. Why? Well, if my boss is saying, Alex, congratulations, great. I understand starting Monday we have a new member. Actually, I know his name. His name is Ken Lang. Alex, can you please tell me why you decided to hire Ken and not the other candidates? I cannot tell my boss, Ken is such a nice guy, really. That's not a good reason to hire Ken. I need to tell my boss, I decided to hire Ken. I interviewed several other very good people. Ken, I could easily single him out because of his excellence in understanding our problem. Actually, on his resume, this is what caught my eye. He has some skills that other people haven't accentuated. In communicating with Ken, I came to understanding that he is a leader. I mean, oh my God, when I interviewed him, I really felt he's just a great leader. He is very adaptable. He shared with me some situation. There were some changes. Talking about COVID, oh my God, he reacted to that instantly. And I can go on and on. But you see, I need to convince my boss that I hired you because you meet the requirements that I have. I have reason to hire you and not to hire somebody else.
So you bring up COVID, and there's different types of questions that might come up in a COVID interview now, like what is the space like? Am I able to work remotely, hybrid? Are these questions you think that a job seeker should ask at some point in the interview, or is that something that you wait for later on until you get the offer or further down?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
I mean, you either you ask it early or you ask later on. I am not convinced what is the right timing. In other words, when you start the interview and you are the candidate, you don't say, excuse me, before we continue. If you hire me, do I have to come into the office? I mean, that's of course a stupid way to initiate the interview. Perhaps the interviewer will share a little bit about the culture. He will say, or she will say, you know, right now, 90% of the people work from home. Our CEO hasn't issued clear instructions about the day that we are coming back. When we are coming back, the board of directors hasn't agreed to one way of doing it. It might be hybrid. It might be, you know, I don't know, but wait until it's the right timing in an interview is absolutely essential.
And I also it's extremely important to leave a good impression, because when I interviewed many years ago for a job, I did not get that job, but I got called a week later that said, by the way, we have this position. Would you be interested in it? And the answer was absolutely. But by leaving on good terms, it made a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, this has happened in the past. You interview position A, but they see that you are way better than position A. But they also have a position B, and you are fantastic for that. They may say, you know what, well, you don't fit into that position A, but if you are perfect for position B.
And
it has happened.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges is that you always want to leave on good terms because you don't know what's in the interviewer's mind. And sometimes we talk about the hidden job market, we talk about all these different things. You just never know. And getting upset that you don't get the interview or getting frustrated, it doesn't, I mean, you can be upset off to the side, but you know, it is nothing personal and you just never know where they're going.
Yeah.
So again, looking at other comments, David, I've devised a list of accomplishments that I've done over my career, like publications. I think the real important thing is, and this was brought up before, it never really occurred to me to have something in front of me looking at a piece of paper. Obviously, when you're in person, it's a little different, but having something in front of me to ask the questions, my feeling is, I guess it's a perception, why would I have to look at? But it makes it easier for me to see what's in front of me and actually get across what I want to say without having to guess at what I was going to say.
Well, you need to occasionally glance at a list, hopefully you have in front of you, because that is a memory jogger. The key points that you want to make, you certainly want to have in front of you, and you just glance at it very quickly. So it's a memory jogger. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think.
Now,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, of course, when you ask me a question and I do something like this, that's not right.
Right.
But you just glance at it very casually. That's okay.
Do you think that in the future, as we have gotten evolved with Zoom and other things, that there'll be more and more video interviews and maybe less in-person interviews because of the convenience of it?
Absolutely, categorically, yes. I can tell you some example in my past. For example, I lived in Colorado and I was looking for a job, and they invited me to Florida on the West Coast. I don't remember what town. I paid about $1,500 from my pocket to fly from Colorado to Florida. You know what the outcome was? Zero. I didn't get the job. Money was thrown out. Many times I was flown to different cities in America to be interviewed. They paid for it. I didn't get the job. That was money thrown out the window. It's so easy to get the first impression and everything. I can get 98% of what I want by interviewing you on my screen. And then I may want you to come and meet the team and be there physically, and I will pay for it. But absolutely, it's such a waste of time and money to have someone flying into our town. Doesn't make sense. Today we can do it.
And Terry brings up a great point. In responding to rejection, you're positioning yourself for the future. I mean,
absolutely.
Every rejection gets you closer to the landing, and you learn from every experience. Marty is saying, thank them for spending time with you. Tell them you like the company, the interviewer, and would like to check back with them. Maybe the successful candidate doesn't do well within the 60 days. And again, reaching back may open the position. You just never know. I mean, you want to put yourself in the best situation possible.
I want to share with you something. How many of you remember Dick Bowles? Dick Bowles is a guy that wrote, What Color is Your Parachute? I want to tell you, I'm honored to tell you, I spoke with him on the phone once, and during the conversation, he said, Alex, where do you live? I said, oh, I live in Princeton. No. What is your address? Oh, this is my address.
Right.
He sent me one of his books, What Color is Your Parachute? And I'm talking about him because I remember in his book, there is a paragraph this long, like 8 lines. No. And the last word is yes. So I remember that. This is exactly the road a job seeker travels. No, 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 no. Yes, that's what it takes.
I think, we had this discussion. Again, when you're out of work, and I've been out of work before, it makes you stronger in some ways. It's hard to go through it. I think the more we know about interviewing and how we can set ourselves apart is the best. I mean, I think I'd like to think that people have some empathy for what's going on now, but at the same time, there's so many great people out there, and you really have to figure out the best way to set yourself apart.
Absolutely. Practice makes perfect. Some people are innately very, very good. Two people come to my mind. One is called Barack Obama. The other one is Bill Clinton. Just give them a microphone and they will give you an hour presentation like fantastic. They have the talent of doing that. On the other end, do you remember Larry King?
Yep.
Larry King was very good at interviewing, putting people at ease.
Mm-hmm.
How about Barbara Walters? Terrific. So, yeah, there are some people that are very, very talented at both ends. But really to be successful, what you need to do is you need to practice until you feel confident. Every so often, my clients or prospective clients ask me, Alex, I understand, but how often do I need to meet with you? And my answer is always the same. I don't know. I don't know. You have to make the decision. When you feel good about yourself, when you feel that the answers are flowing, then you say, Alex, thank you so much, goodbye, and that's the end of it. I mean, that's very, very simple.
I think that two of the most common words in this process are "it depends." It's not yes, it's not no, it depends. And every situation is different for sure.
I think, Ken, I think this word is reserved for Marty. I think we should pay a royalty or something to Marty because that's his word.
I know. If he trademarks it, for sure. But I think, and you have a brand, you're the landing expert. So everyone knows, and it's almost like it's your last name. Alex is your first name, Freund is your middle name, and the landing expert is your last name. I mean,
but do you think that's by coincidence?
I don't think so. But how did you come up with that name?
I didn't.
Okay.
Frank Kovacs came up with that name.
Okay.
One day, early on, like 15 years ago, he said, Alex, what do you think about you are the landing expert? I said, Frank, thank you so much. And since then, that goes along with my name, and that's by purpose.
Yeah.
Repetition. That's very, very important. So you need to come up with something that people can quickly associate you with.
I really hope today that our crowd is getting a lot out of this, for sure, because you're such an amazing resource to people.
Thank you.
No, it's true. I mean, I think there's so much great information out there. I always urge people on these calls afterwards to look at the chat and connect with people if you're not connected, and continue the conversation, because I think it's so important. I talk a lot about having a job search posse, a bunch of people that can connect with each other, a networking posse. It's just the idea of not going through it alone, and having people that will also be honest with you. They will tell you exactly what they think in a positive way and a negative way. You need to have that for sure.
Yeah. Ken, one of the things that I say very often, if you follow me on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, networking, it's all about helping others.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this sentence many, many, many times because I believe in it. Networking is not what can you give me. That will be very short-lived. Networking is, Ken, is there anything I can do for you? How can I help you? And with this attitude, things will go very well for you.
So I'm looking at this comment from Lisa. Likability is crucial, but it also must be cautioned that likability isn't an inherent bias against people not like us or comfortable with us. It's a fine line. You really have to have a gut check, and that's true. I think everything you do, you have to kind of have your radar up. You have to be a little bit, I don't want to say sensitive, but just be aware of your surroundings and your situation.
Yeah. You need to be humble. You need to be nimble. You need to be able to connect with people. Allow me to put it this way. I was told two things I was told all my life. Alex, you were born an engineer, but you're not an engineer. I did not go to study engineering. But this is so true. My thinking is very systematic, very methodic. I can tell you this figuratively. The days before COVID, when people came to my house, the way I visualized that interaction is people came into my house with a bucket full of pebbles. And they said, Alex, help me. I don't know what to do. And they took the bucket and bang, all the pebbles are on my desk. And I said, okay, you see, this is a round one, big one. Let's put it here. Oh, this is small. That's purple. That's blue. At the end of the session, I sorted out the pebbles. And all of a sudden, I created some order in people's life and professional experience. So that's one thing that I was told all my life. The other thing that I was told is, Alex, you are a teacher, born teacher, because you have so much patience. And, I have to admit to that. Every so often, my wife walks by or listens in or whatever. At the end of the session, she said, Alex, you are an angel. You have so much patience to listen to people. And that's true. I do have a lot of patience. I'm not somebody, okay, quick, get to the bottom. If you have to talk to me, I need to comprehend. I need to hear it. I need to relate to you. So, these two attributes help me so much in my profession, because this is what people need. Somebody that sorts things out and somebody that is willing to listen and give you good advice.
Listening is so important because, and I'm still a little bit guilty at this, trying to ask the question sometimes before someone finishes, but you have to think, even if it means you have to exhale for a second, and you have to really, and I do that little thing for myself. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, then talk. And I think that helps a lot. I mean, you have to be able to understand that about yourself for sure.
Okay, thank you. I see here, I can't read because the screen is too far for me, but I see here Lisa. Lisa really thinks I'm an angel. Lisa, thank you.
Thinks you're an angel. Terry thinks you're an angel. Elliot Hollander, thank you both. Alex, we helped him land.
Do you think I should change my name from Alex to Angel? This is what people are saying.
Well, we could actually do a poll about that on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, don't. That was a joke.
I'm kidding. Of course. So I want to thank everyone here for attending today. What I always do with these discussions, and again, I'll end with Marty's ABP, always be positive and prepared. What I like to do is end the calls before 2 o'clock, because I know a lot of people go from meeting to meeting and meeting, and they just want to decompress. So Alex, thank you very much for being here today. Definitely look forward to staying in touch. Someday we will meet at the Breakfast Club in some way, shape, or form, or we'll go outside because I missed that. I missed the camaraderie, but this is the next best thing.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone. Talk soon. Bye.